Well, I mean, like, it was really hard for me. Like, the first 3 weeks, I was having like panic attacks. It was scary to go outside. Like, people have been calling me and, like, you know, like crying to me that they're like under fire and that, like, asking for me to find them like houses to live in. And it's been really weird. It's been really weird to say the
Yeah,
least. Like, I also like was right after surgery when this like all happened, so I was like I had just dealt with my own traumatizing like episode of
right.
things. And like, I didn't tell you, I don't know if I told you or not, but like the first time we had the podcast was like a day after a breakup. So I was like grieving someone for the past 6 months too. So that's been really hard. And then also my boyfriend right now, who, like, my current boyfriend, he got called into duty like the day it happened. So he's picking up dead bodies right now constantly.
Right.
So yeah, it's been really fun. It's been the funnest. Like, I'm having a blast.
It the thing about you is, and the reason why I wanted to bring you on. Look, the problem here in the United States is there is unfortunately a ton of propaganda, all being pushed by the extreme left and by the Biden administration and so many others. That this stupidity of, supporting Hamas and this insanity of supporting terror is absolutely insane. And I think that the only way to solve this problem is actually to sit down with human beings. People that actually live in Israel, understand what the fuck is going on there. Not some person that makes over $600,000 a year, steals from all directions, and
Did we
give me a
start?
sec. Yeah, we did. I've been dealing with my phone has been, it's actually funny, since October 7th. My phone has been nonstop, just spam calls, spam messages. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
You know
But it's
what's
ever since after
interesting?
October 7th.
A
Yeah.
lot of people, I didn't know it was happening also in the States, but a lot of people also here, like, people are calling, like, getting video calls from like Lebanon and like random places and
Are you
whatever.
serious?
Yeah, like WhatsApp calls, like video WhatsApp calls. Like, they were like, we had to like make an announcement like of phone calls that start with certain numbers, like, don't pick up because it could be like a hacker. And there's all these crazy, there's like people that are calling and then like saying stuff in Arabic, like crazy shit. But I haven't gotten, like, I've gotten like maybe two spam calls. So, and that's like a little bit like, as opposed to what other
See,
people
these
have.
are things I haven't heard any about this in the media here. You see, also another thing that I didn't hear about in the media
Oh,
here in the
that's what they're
United
trying to
States.
do. They're trying to drown out like the humanity. Basically, that's literally what they're doing.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
drowning out humanity with
It's crazy.
hate.
It's crazy because like my mom's been watching Fox News, and I keep on telling her like this all the information is propaganda, and she's like, "But it's Fox News." And I'm like, "You want real information? There are plenty of Israelis right now on Facebook that are posting updates consistently. That's where I get my information from. I have a bunch of friends that are in the IDF. They're right now in Gaza fighting. You probably have the same situation. I have friends of mine that work with communities like Lubavitch, with organizations that are going all over Israel to donate food and things of that nature. That is real information. That's real journalism. That's the front lines. You're getting the real story as to what is going on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I find it really, like, I've had this conversation already like a lot this week, but so I'm just like, yeah, same old, but like it's just become our new normal, which is really, really sad. But like, yeah, the I'm not, I can't say I'm shocked. I can't say I'm shocked at all. Like, every single war that's ever broken out, like, people just think they know, like, they just decide that they want to say something, like they want to say something about the conflict, right? But then they'll make like these vast, like, just like statements without
Justifications.
checking any facts, without looking into anything, and believing the first person that talks to them about it because that's the popular opinion.
Mhm.
And that's the issue. That's the issue, is it's popular. I heard a theory actually recently that was like, someone said it, I don't remember who it was, but it was like, because of corona right now, people, like, communities are, like, people want community more. Like, communities kind of broke up during corona, and like there was a lot of isolation, a lot of depression, and right now people are looking for communities, and then like there's a lot of like people that aren't religious anymore, so there's also a lack of community there. And so the way people are finding community is by like kind of, you know creating like this this purpose, this advocacy for
Well,
these movements. But the
right,
movements
right.
are just like, you ask people basic questions like, when did Palestinians ever have sovereignty, like full sovereignty over the land? Like, you ask them that one question, they will not know the answer. You ask someone, when did Palestinians ever have a leader, like a famous leader, like someone before the revolt in 1930? They won't know the answer to that either. Forget about what's happening right now. People are legitimizing the situation because of history. And if you think about it for 5 minutes, you'll and actually ask the correct question, you'll realize that the people that are advocating right now, like, they have no history, they have no background, they
Okay,
don't understand
let's
anything.
yeah, so let's get the facts straight and get the facts straight really clear. Palestinians are Bedouins. Their ancestors were travelers and settlers throughout the Middle East
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of years ago. They were brought in by, I believe they're called like sharifs, like 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 gang leaders. So they would like be like the like a rabbi to a certain extent. And then
Cool.
what they would do was they were buying up land from, I forgot the group that was in Israel at the time, and giving it over to these Bedouins so that they can be
Right.
farmers. Because if you meet Palestinians and you ask them, a lot of their history is agriculture. They're farmers. They have sheep. They work and harness the land. That's what they've been doing for so long. I'm
And the
not
ones
taking
that
away from,
stayed are actually, well, many of them are in the IDF. So that's funny.
yes. Yeah, I know. Hilarious. And Palestinian comes from Palestina. Palestina was an area in Israel, which is kind of the area of Gaza that we know of, over 2,000 years ago. They were a group of people that looked very similar to Somalians, modern day Somalians. They don't look anything like Arabs, but they don't exist anymore. They pretty much have gone extinct. Maybe they have some ancestors alive now, but they're
Hmm.
not the same. It's the same thing with Egyptians today. Can you call Egyptians today ancient Egyptians? Maybe some, but most of them have been inbred with other races. Or, during the Arab conquest, with them coming into Egypt when you had that revolt. So you brought up an excellent point, and again, it's about listening, but also understanding what you're hearing, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's about listening and understanding what you're hearing, and asking like the questions that,
The
yeah,
right questions.
asking the right questions. I wanted to just say, like, I wanted to bring up funny, like, cultural stuff, because like people
Sure.
are, what, like, things that I'm like
Like the ice.
noticing.
Yeah.
America, like, first of all, I've seen people be like, "Oh, Israelis are culturally disappropriating like the Israeli food, the Palestinian food." Has nobody ever heard of Arab Israelis before?
No, they probably haven't.
They don't even know who's living here. They don't know how it looks here. I was just at a hospital, okay? I'm going
Hmm.
to bring some humanity into this because I think that's where people are like always talking about facts. Let's bring some humanity in for a minute.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
I was just at a hospital visiting my boyfriend's nephew who he's not eating. We don't know why, and they're getting, yeah, it's really sad. There's a lot of like
I'm
surgeries that
sorry.
he's getting through. He's like this little baby. It's really sad. Anyways, we
Mm.
went to visit him,
Okay.
and it was in Petah Tikva, which is like, in Israel.
Hmm.
I just have
Petah
to say,
Tikva is Petah Tikva is like what, 30 kilometers away from Tel Aviv?
yeah, something like
More?
that. It's
Yeah, it's about
close.
30 kilometers. Yeah,
It's close. Israel's like smaller than New Jersey, if for anyone
I
that
know.
doesn't
It really is
For
small.
anyone that doesn't know, I know you know all this, but there are people that
Yeah.
just don't. So these things are really important to mention. Israel's smaller than New Jersey. Everyone here knows each other. Anyways, so yeah, so I went to this hospital, and first of all, every single person there, like the first thing we saw before we walked in, like we were trying to get in, and actually the door was locked, and
Right.
we saw like a huge Arab family with a hijab, like obviously like religiously Muslim, walking out. And so one of the guys was trying to come in and like he helped us get through, whatever. We get into the hospital. Every single family, I saw maybe two Jewish families there. This is an Israeli hospital, okay? And about 20 minutes later, I was standing at a bus stop waiting for them. They went up and I went to like do my own thing. And 20 minutes later, I was standing at a bus stop alone when there were sirens. And the sirens, 2 seconds, like a second later, there were these huge fireballs in the sky on top of the hospital, right in front of me, right over my head. Two exploded. They got it. They like exploded it into like a puff of smoke. That's how it looks when the Iron Dome hits it, right? And that hospital, with all those Arab Palestinian people that live in Israel and have rights and are getting hospital
Treatment.
care,
Yeah.
treatment, that have every right that Israelis have, are literally like would have died with me in a hospital, in an Israeli hospital that Hamas, Gaza, the people that are fighting for their people, would have sent. This basically is a
Yeah.
summary of this conflict.
It's
I
not
think.
about it's not about the people have to understand that it's the
That
people
summarizes
that are
it for me.
it's the people that are right now that are suffering. Okay? Fuck the governments. I'm sorry. I don't care about the Knesset right now, and I don't give a flying fuck about Hamas. I don't. What I care about is because I've lived there, you live there, the people. I mean, like you mentioned, I lived in Jerusalem, okay? The kind of people I bumped into every single day. Arabs, Palestinians, Druzim, Ethiopians, Eritreans, Somalians, Christians, Americans, all different types of people, and they all live in Israel. They
Yeah.
all live in Jerusalem.
It's like all these stupid buzzwords. I'm seeing like Americans, like there's all these buzzwords that they've taken from like Black Lives Matter and like all these like different things. It's like apartheid, colonism, genocide, these things that literally like in many ways Jews like are actually experiencing like now, and they're just flipping the script. They're flipping the script, and it's really sad. It's really sad because it's a real issue. These issues are real, and you're corrupting them by saying that Israel is apartheid when there's literally like Palestinians that are in charge of banks. There are Palestinians that are in charge of anything they want to be. The only thing
My
they can't be is
doctor,
president. And they
do you
can't
want to
be
know
president
something?
because it's a Jewish state.
Do you want to know
Besides New
something?
Jersey.
You you know that I have severe anxiety. I still, I have less attacks. But when I was in Israel, I got medication for it.
I didn't know
And I
that.
got medication from the doctor was Palestinian. It was a doctor that was I remember it was like two or three bus stops away from where I lived. And he spoke really good English. And I remember he said, I use this for my patients, you should try this. And that was I think it's albuterol. I still use that stuff today. And it's the stuff that worked the best for me whenever I had, and I just giving that as an example, but that was my situation living there, getting care and treatment.
I was just
You
cut
know,
open by 5 doctors, literally cut opened by 5 doctors that were all Palestinian Arabs. Like, I was unconscious, lying on a table. There were two Jewish men that were surgeons, and
mhm,
Palestinian Arab Muslims, some of them Christian, some of them whatever. Like, who the fuck cares? And they cut my stomach open and saved my life and removed an organ from my body. And I woke up.
gallbladder?
No, my fallopian tube. It's a woman
I'm
thing.
sorry. I'm
Yeah,
so sorry, honey. How are you feeling though?
I'm okay. It's been like a slow recovery, and I'm finally like fully back to my physical self, which is amazing. And
That's
women
good.
have another fallopian tube, so I can still have kids, which is also good.
Thank God. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
because that is something you do worry about, and I mean, being able to have the proper care and being able to,
It's
because
scary.
it
It's
is
honestly it's scary. Like, my sister, she's a nurse in the hospital, and she asked the day the massacre happened. The next day, she was,
October 8th.
she was bandaging up like one of the men that went in to try to save some of the people, and his arm like got mutilated, and they like reattached it, but it's like he's regaining, like, it could kill him. They're trying to get him stable. They're still trying. It's still like a battle with him. Anyways, he's just one of many, obviously,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And so they were bandaging him up, and then after, she asked like one of the Arabs, like, she was like, like the doctor that just like helped bandage him up. She was like, so like, I'm just curious. Like, I don't want to get too much into it because then we won't be able to work together if I get mad. But like, how do you feel like about this whole thing? And he's like, look, I have family in Gaza, and I think that people have been oppressed. And I agree with him, by the way. She was terrified for a minute. She was like, fuck. This is like a person that like our people's lives are in his hands, and like if he's mad, that could be scary. Forget
Right.
it. It's just scary. Like, if someone's mad at you and your life is literally in their hands, like, that's really scary. And we still give them all our trust. We still completely, like, you know and they are mad. And I want to talk about how they have a right to be mad. They should be mad. They are oppressed, but I don't believe that they're blaming the right people. I think they are pawns in a bigger governmental like agenda.
They're
And
brainwashed.
it's
A
a
lot of them are.
question. Yeah, but we don't
Yeah.
want to use that buzzword. I don't like using buzzwords. Like,
No, no,
we
no.
can say
It's not.
brainwashed, but
No, no.
it's
And
much
I'll tell you.
more than that. It's their experience. I have a friend that he lives in Beit Lechem, okay? I speak to
Okay.
him. I spoke to him during the day of the massacre. I was like, "Are you safe?" I asked him. I reached out as a Jew, someone that was just massacred before anything happened. Before we striked back, I reached out to him and I asked him if he's safe. Why? I wanted him to think about me. I wanted him to understand that I'm a human being. I wanted to remind him that when this war started, because I knew it was going to get ugly. Okay. B, I care about him. I actually genuinely care about him. And things get ugly in the West Bank bec- when when things get ugly in Gaza, right? Because
Gaza. Yeah.
it's all under the influence of Hamas, right? The PLO was an alliance with Hamas. So they're all connected. And Hamas does have an influence on the people that live under the PLO. Hamas has an influence that roots stems deeply with people that are anti Semitic. And it literally says in Hamas's charter, we want to kill all Jews. So people can argue that, but there's nothing to argue. Those are facts. And he he's not experiencing it that way. What he's experiencing is the result of that. He's living under oppression because he's living in a land that is his leader doesn't have his best safety, his best interest in mind. He doesn't. They're using him as a pawn to. They're like, go kill Jews, go be mad at Jews. Your life sucks. You can't. You don't have a lot of freedom. Your life sucks, and there's a
because of
lot of
them.
security around you because of them. Instead of blaming themselves and being like, there's a lot of security around me because we've tried to kill people millions of times over the past 75 years. They won't take responsibility for that. But if I was him and I was living, I've had many conversations with him. I've tried to understand. And I understand his family, he doesn't want to leave it. He doesn't want to leave his family. And if you grew up with people constantly telling you, constantly, every single day, like, your life sucks because of these people. Your life sucks because of these people. This is like history, blah, 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 blah. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
start to believe it. You're going to. And he just started getting a high-tech job and it all went to shit when this happened. He was going into Tel Aviv. He got permission finally to go into Tel Aviv every day. He was having a somewhat normal life. I remember I was there with him a few years ago when he came into Israel and he got to see like the beach for the first time, and it was beautiful. And I really do have so much empathy for the people that are pawns in this whole situation. I have so much
Mm-hmm.
empathy. And it's Israelis and it's Palestinians.
Yeah.
And it's a mind game for Palestinians, and for Israelis, it's physical. And well, actually, at this point, they're both being killed. So, anyways,
Yeah, and this reminds me, and I think I've told you this before. When I worked in one of the restaurants, I worked with a man. His name was Youssef, and his mother, I'm sorry, she was terminally ill with cancer, and they lived in the West Bank, about 15 kilometers outside of Ramallah, and they weren't able to get her care. So he reached out to the Israeli authorities, and he said within a matter of like 3 days, they brought in an ambulance into the West Bank. They picked her up and they brought her to an Israeli hospital. And they took care of her for 4.5 years until she passed away.
wow,
He said to me, he said that the fear that he had his life, and realizing that when he needed help, calling out, and again, it's not about sides. He realized that he wasn't able to get his mother proper care where he was at, that just wasn't available. And he made the bold decision to reach out to pull, the enemy, and see if there's anything that can do. And they brought an ambulance over border lines, having people that could have risked their lives to save this Palestinian woman's life, even though she was terminally ill and she had no chance of survival. Well, she didn't. She passed away 4 years later, but they took care of her anyway. When you look at the state of Israel right now, the way I see it, and from my own family, it's a place that has been built by people, from immigrants from Morocco, Libya, Syria, Europe, for example, Druzim, the Bedouins, Palestinians, all these different people in the past 255 years that have slowly been developing the different parts of what we know today as the state of Israel. It's all made by people. And if we remove this fog of governments, and we look at it for what it is, look at all the kibbutz, look at all the areas in the West Bank, you like driving up north and you can see like on the West Bank side, it's just
yeah,
all farms, and hundreds of goats, hundreds. And just thinking to yourself, my God, this land was designed by people for their work to create something not only for themselves, but for future generations. That mark, it's just, you have to be there to experience it.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I really, like I said this at the beginning of the podcast. I don't know if it was recorded, but this whole war has made me more Zionistic. And like, I just have so much more love for it because not only has it reminded me, like, when you almost lose something, you're reminded, like, how precious that thing is. The same way, like, I almost lost my life, like, recently. Like, and so I'm appreciating life much more now, despite how shitty it is here. Like, I'm really appreciating life more, but also it's just showing me like all the anti-Semitism coming out like in the world has just reminded me why we're here, you know. But also, yeah, there's been a lot of hard work that like was put into us creating this land, and I really hope that, you know, anyone that wants a land to call home would be willing to put in work into their homes. um,
Right.
I don't know if you're getting the reference, but I
Yeah.
know we both think the same way, so it's not very like challenging for you to
No,
understand.
it's not. Like, for example, my uncle, he lives in Carmiel. He's one of the founders that helped build Carmiel in the early 70s. He fought for the Yom Kippur War. But my uncle's not from there. He was born in Casablanca. He was born in North Africa,
Hmm.
and what I'm going to say something that's going to be very controversial, but this is my own personal opinion. I think the least
Yeah.
anti-Semitic people are religious Muslims. I'm going to say that again.
Interesting.
I
Why?
think because religious Muslims have a respect and an understanding for Islam and the faith, and for someone that this is from what I've heard from religious Muslims, when you talk about them in this conflict, you talk about Jews, they have a very different perspective. Because to them, in their faith, it's all about, observance and being connected with God and separating yourself from violence and hate. It says that clearly in the Quran. I had somebody that showed me this. It doesn't say anywhere in the Quran where you should go out and murder and slaughter people.
Yeah.
It
No, every
states you.
single terrorist that was interrogated said that. Like they were like, we didn't do what the Quran says. We like went against the Quran and we raped and killed and mutilated and we were bad. We were bad. You know how we say we're bad Jews when we like don't do something good. So they were bad Muslims, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's definitely not like, but I have spoken to some very racist like religious Muslims.
You're always gonna find that
You
in
know it's
every
going to find
single
racism.
group.
Yeah.
But
I have at the very beginning. I was speaking to people. They were like, you know, I wanted to see like where they were coming from when like people would comment "Free Palestine" and like then they would get into a whole debate with me, and like it just like the end was like, "Jews should all die, fuck you," like or something like that, and like I was just like,
that's the
okay, that's
difference
not
though.
really like a very knowledgeable like
No, it's
conclusion,
not.
and
No,
that's
because
very telling. You know, don't be too obvious.
right. I I've been seeing posts on social media from religious Muslims because I do follow certain accounts, and the difference with them is they don't say, free Palestine. They say free Palestinian people. And when I should have sent. I think I sent it to you. There was this restaurant in Germany. Okay, it's made by a Israeli and a Palestinian, and they own this restaurant together. And I'm just giving that as an example. When you as a Muslim, for example, if you're a person that's Muslim here in the United States, okay,
Mhm.
and you're religious, when you see a conflict like this and you see what Hamas has been doing to religious Muslim people, as a person that prays, reads the Quran, celebrates the holidays and traditions of your culture. Seeing that will open your mind and be like, oh my God, they're killing our people. They're killing our people. What do you mean you're saving your people? You're killing our people. You're saying Allah wants this? It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
nuts. I heard, and it's
They're overlooking that every single war has been started by them.
terrorists. This has to be like, they say Islamic extremists. Let's separate this. Let's just call it for what it is. Terrorists.
Yeah. Another buzzword that people seem to like, it just goes whoop. People are like, whoop. No, what is terrorist? I don't know what terrorist is. Do you know what terrorist is? No? Okay. I feel like the world is fucked right now. They don't
But
even
again,
understand what terrorism is anymore. Like,
but
what's
again, it's
terrorism? What's the definition of terrorism? I don't even know anymore.
but again, it's about, like
It's
we've
not
been
your
talking.
gender. Sorry.
No, you're good. Honestly, it's about really separating the things, because again, like we explained, that in Israel there are Israeli Arabs, there's many different cultures that are living there. The same way, understanding that there is a religion called Islam, there's a religion called Judaism, there's a religion called Christianity. From my experience, and I'm assuming from your experience as well, I don't think any person in their logical mind that is a religious Islamic person or something that's a religious Christian or a religious Jew would look at this situation and say, "Yep, that's in our Bible. Yep, that's in the Torah. Yeah,
Yep,
that's in."
that's great. We're so happy that people are dying. Yes, that is the ultimate goal of God and morals, right? The same God that literally says do not murder, the same God that says do not, steal, the same God that says do not give someone like an exchange for, like, it's just, there are very basic, it's called the seven laws of Noah, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And we, all of the religions have that. Like, religion was based religion was created because people were lacking morals in the world, okay? And I don't know if a lot of people that aren't religious these days know the background behind that, but like, the world was a shit show before there were morals. Like, literal, like
Bad.
what you heard that happened on October 7th was happening every day, everywhere. Now, it's still happening in many countries. It's happening in Turkey. It's happening in Syria. This biggest Syrian refugee crisis is happening. There's
Mhm.
thousands being slaughtered a day. America killed, after 9/11, over 423,000 civilians because of 9/11, to keep people safe. I'm
And
not
again,
saying that that's a bad thing or a
no,
good
and
thing. I haven't
yeah,
looked into their politics, but I haven't looked into their politics, so I'm not going to talk about it. Unlike other
right.
people that are talking about my politics when they don't know anything about it. I'm not going to make a blank statement like, "Oh yeah, American was right for doing that. America was not right for doing that." No,
No,
but
no,
at the
no.
end of
You,
the day,
you.
like, who was protesting against that?
The thing to understand about
10,000
American,
people? 10,000 people? And that number is literally being taken from Hamas, a recognized organization of terrorism. So we don't even know if that number is real. We don't even know if that
right?
number is real. And they're killing half of them. They're shooting them in the street when they're trying to evacuate. Literally. There's evident proof on camera. If you go up in a freaking airplane, you look into what's going on, that's what's happening. And there's footage of it. And nobody's talking about it because they're drowning it all out.
The
They're drowning
people
it
that
all out.
the people that have taken the best care of the Palestinians in the past 75 years, since 1948,
Sorry, I'm rambling.
has no, you're not rambling, you're bringing up really excellent points, has been the people of Israel, all the different types of people of Israel. Understanding the fact that Hamas is a terrorist organization, that their only goal is to collect as much money as they possibly can for themselves. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about human life. They don't care about the Quran. They don't care about their people. All they care about is mass genocide and money.
Yeah,
That in
literally.
itself is the most barbaric explanation. We haven't had that type of group of people around since Nazi Germany. Okay? Let's just be like
That's not true.
that's
That's not
probably
true.
been
The world just, it's not a hot topic. So the people
right.
are like, oh, it's not happening. Are you kidding me?
It
Have you
happens all the
seen the
time, but like that was like the
corruption
big
in this world? It's fucked. There's so many, like, are you kidding? Every day Syrians are getting their heads chopped off for money and for power, for hungry manpower. Every
Mhm.
day. There's so much crisis in the world. Like, let me, like, in Turkey there are women being like sexual trafficked for money. They're literally, and then the young women, like, there's a whole documentary on young women, like, getting sold for a day. They're like virgins and they're getting sold for a day to a man, and they pay them to get married to this man. The man sexually abuses them, then blackmails them and tells them that they're going to tell their family, and then continues to sexually abuse them because they're blackmailing them. These women then basically, if they say anything, they will be killed by their own family, because to not be a virgin before marriage is against their rules. And basically, like, it fucks their whole life up. These are men, hungry men, that are hungry, blood hungry for money. Like, they're selling people. Like, the evil in this world has always been there, and there people are just deciding to fixate on Palestine because Palestinian people are mad, because Palestinian people have been told a narrative that incites hatred, and they're being really loud. And I think that there's also a lot of neo-Nazis that are taking advantage of that. And honestly, I don't know. I was talking to my aunt the other day and she was like, "Yeah, I think this is all Illuminati. Like, I think this is I think this is all like a bigger thing." And
it's a cultural it's the
I'm torn
same
between
thing.
it being Illuminati and, like, it being like Hitler's plan that he, like, continued on, because, like, you do see proof that the Mufti means, like, the leader of the Palestinians in 1941. He literally met up with Hitler and had coffee with him. What do you think they were talking about? Jews were coming into Israel. What do you think they were talking about? This Mufti lived in Israel. He was the leader of the Palestinians in Israel. What were they talking about? What did they plan just then? You think Hitler wastes his time talking to random people for no reason? No, he had a very clear agenda. No, he was very set in his ways. He was very, very adamant on killing. There's so many neo Nazis these days. Black people are still dealing with it. Gay people are still dealing with it.
Mhm.
Neo Nazis, and they're under the woodwork, and they're just coming out in thousands now. And it's so
Yeah.
easy for them because the numbers are so much bigger than people that want, like, first of all, 15,000, 16,000 people, that's how many Jews are in the world. That's like small. That's like really
15,
small.
15.6 million, honey.
That's like a
Yeah, well
small minority. That's a small
we
minority. And then there are billions of Muslim Arabs. Now, I'm not saying that all Muslim Arabs want to kill, but if they hear the narrative that the PLO has been telling, then they're going to get mad. And I believe a lot of them genuinely believe in it. And I think it's like cut in half. I think half people are neo-Nazis, literally, like genocide, like they want genocide of Jews, and then the other half are people that genuinely have no idea that they're being lied to. And there
my
are
personal
billions of them. Billions.
my personal opinion
How do you say that?
is what what you call neo-Nazis is what I call woke. It's just a
Oh
new
god.
term.
Oh god.
I because if you think about it, this extremist
Now,
personal, yeah, and this idea of cancel culture and directive narrative and no explanation needed. I once heard somebody say this, and again, I this is what he said. I don't necessarily agree with this. He said that everybody thinks that Hitler died and it was over. But he said that massive, powerful leaders like these people throughout history, they don't just die and that's it. They make sure to make a plan. They make a plan that will last for a very long time. And I may sound like a conspiracy theorist right now, but I don't care. I mean,
you
in a
don't.
way,
It's their life's work. What, they're just gonna die giving up?
yeah,
No,
like
they're gonna leave a legacy. They're gonna go, okay, where are the Jews going next? They're going to Israel. All right, let's make a
America,
plan. Let's make a
South
plan to
America.
change the narrative. Let's make a plan to change the narrative. No, 7 million Jews, that's half the population of Jews are living in Israel right now. You know what Hamas said? He said, I hope that all the Jews gather in Israel so that I can kill them all at once.
Oof.
Quote.
Jesus.
That was a quote.
Yeah. It's
Can
crazy
you argue
because
that? Can you argue that? Are we like, what are we talking about here? What are we
you
even
want to
talking about?
you want a mind fuck? A mind fuck is when you realize that most of the technological advancements here in the United States have all been done by Nazi doctors. So the advancement in space technology, computer advancement, medical technology, all of these things were all helped by Nazi doctors. So try to understand this. A lot of the technology that we use here in the United States
It's depressing.
was made by Nazi doctors. So as much as we try to play the game of everything's fine, like, you said, everything's fine and everything's good. Like, well, just like we said with the Ukrainian war, which we totally forgot about, and all the people that have been murdered and dying over there. But who cares? Now we're moving on to Israel because this is more fun. Before then
It's
was the
popular.
Afghanistan and war. Yeah, this is more popular now. Then we have the presidential campaign, which is going to be SNL every single night. Yay, me. It's like living in the Truman Show. I hate this. Like, literally, it feels like we're in the Truman Show
Yes.
right now.
Yes. And the saddest part is that there are people that actually live here, and the what you say matters. So maybe just don't say anything unless you actually know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, I'm so sick of seeing people talk and then you ask them a few questions and realize they really don't know anything. I have so many stories of my American friends seeing someone post, like, one of their friends post free Palestine, and like, like all this stuff, and then they called them up and they were like, are you kidding me? Like, you just like, insulted my people and like whatever, take it down. And they're like, oh, I had no idea. They're like, oh, I just didn't even look into it. End of conversation. I'll
I
take it
just un-
down.
I unfollow.
And what about the people that aren't being called to say hello? Like, they're just all just like spewing a bunch of bullshit because that's what they're being told. No one's even questioning them.
My
That's
question
bullshit. And
my
I'm
question
living the consequences. I'm living the
right.
consequences. I'm getting calls every day. There are families that call me every single day crying. 11, 7, 6 kids, like, stuck at home, not able to sleep because all night they're hearing bombs right over their heads. Some are falling next to their neighbors, killing them. They're living in a war. We're living in a war, and people have the audacity to pretend that they know what the fuck is going on. People have the audacity to talk about it as if they know anything. Have they looked into any of the history? Have they proof checked anything? This is my life. This is my life. I wasn't able to leave my house for 3 weeks because of the war. I was terrified. There were 5,000 men who came in to rape me, to kill me, to mutilate me. They found little girls on the floor with their limbs cut off, alive, still. I couldn't leave my house. They kill people
My
in their beds, like innocent
yeah.
civilians. I'm being affected by it, me. Me, I'm being affected by it. If Hamas doesn't die, I die. If Hamas doesn't die in 10 years from now, I could die. I could be next to the border or anywhere else in Israel. There could be someone that decides that they're mad and come and kill me. And you're posting your little Facebook status because you just want to do a good thing or you just want to, advocate, but you didn't even look into what you're advocating for. How is that okay?
There,
Sorry, I'm a
there
little
are
bit mad.
no, I don't blame you. There are many Americans, such as myself, that for those 3 weeks, my brother and sister live in the West Bank, like literally live in the West Bank. They're in Gvat Zev, and I was terrified. My brother was terrified. My sister was terrified. I wasn't really able to get a hold of them, and just I hate to be this person, but I want to go on to that fucking Princeton campus and talk to these one of little 16-year-old pricks and ask him straight to his face, does your brother live over there? Does your father live over there? Does your uncle live out there?
You don't know anything.
Okay? And you're raising this bullshit, tell me? You want my brother to die too? You want my nieces and nephews, my little niece right now that's about 3 years old, you want her to die? Like, is that where you're... And I live here in the States, here in Florida. And I'm not the only person here in the United States like this. Many of us here in this country have family on both sides.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, is you want to be cute and put a nice little... Don't do that. If you don't know what the fuck is going on, shut the fuck up.
Thank you.
Shut the fuck up. No one asked for your opinion. We're not interested. I'm not interested. You're not interested. And I don't think anybody should be interested because you don't know what's going on. Like you mentioned earlier, there are people, you ask them, okay, what sea? What sea? Yeah, what sea? They don't even know the fucking name of the sea. What the hell? So what are you doing?
Yeah, there's no education, really. It's really ridiculous. I just stopped, like, I was like, for a while I was being like active on like social media, and I watched the whole thing unravel because like here and there I would like, speak out because I know we're like a minority, our voices are going to be drowned out. And so I try to do my part as much as I can, but at this point I'm just like, I need to take care of my mental health. So whatever I need to do in order to, like, keep going right now, that's what I need to do. There's people feeling really guilty right now in Israel, that they're feeling guilty for like being happy. They're feeling guilty to keep going. They're feeling guilty. Like, I was at my waxing lady's yesterday and she was like, oh, I'm not playing music. Like, she was playing like the radio. She was listening to, and I'm like sitting there getting waxed while like I'm listening to like this story of this like soldier that he was like a commander with his brother, and he watched his brother get blown up and die, and he had to keep going on the mission. And my waxing lady's like, listen, yeah, like, I don't play music anymore because this is sad, and I don't want to I don't feel comfortable right now celebrating anything when there are people dying to try to save and keep me safe. Like, no. And her son lives in America. He has a girlfriend, a dog, a nice life. He's in the police force, and he came to Israel to serve, and he's now up north, and he's risking his life, and she's worried. And every single person I know has someone else that's like risking their life right now or in a unsafe situation. And it's hard for us because, and also people have died. People I know. I went to 5 funerals this month. Like, it's hard for us to keep going. It's hard for us to keep going and acting like everything's normal. Everything shut down here. Everything shut down. Everything closes by 6 o'clock. Almost everything. There's like a few things that are stay open. Slowly things have been like getting back to like a little bit normal because we have to keep the economy going. And people also have to, for the morale and the mental health of the people, we're trying to keep going. And that's the hardest part, I think. Like, we're so busy trying to explain why we have a right to exist. We don't even have time to mourn. We don't have time to feel sad on our own, and because we're being bombarded by people's opinions. Like, excuse me, but like, I just lost friends. Like, people like I walk down the street and I'm seeing like families gathering together because their their like son just was killed. Like, and like, I was at his funeral. Is the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen in my life. I People are mourning here. People are sad. People are scared, and nobody gives a shit. Like, where's our voice? Where is it? It's just, and our voice is being called propaganda. And that's our it's our experience. It's our full experience. It's our lives. And you're calling that propaganda. And if you don't live here, you've never been here, you don't have any family here, you're not related, you didn't study the history, which most people, it takes them 7 years to understand the history of the conflict of the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Because you have to sift through the bullshit, and you also have to look at where there's proof and how legitimate that proof is, and understand and talk to people that live here and talk to both sides and come here yourself. There's so many things you would have to do in order to fully understand the actual picture. For people that never done any of that to just come and say whatever the fuck they want, that's so disrespectful. That is so heartbreaking, and it's so disrespectful. There's 250 people right now who might be being tortured under tunnels. We
They may
don't
not
know
even
what's
be
happening.
alive.
Some of them might not be alive. Many of them, there was a woman that had breast cancer. She's probably dead at this point. She didn't get her treatment. There were elderly women. The woman that they released, she was 20 pounds thinner, and she said that she was fine and they treated her well, while her husband was being held at gunshot back there. So of course she's going to say that she was being treated fine. But did you see her? She was 20 lbs, like 20 pounds smaller.
Didn't
They
they
were
take
not
a Holocaust survivor?
plenty.
Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine somebody that went through the Holocaust, and then to imagine now they're elderly and they're waiting for them to enjoy the rest, and then they go through the same experience they went through 70 years ago. It's bananas. It's absolutely bananas.
Yeah. And honestly, I do feel bad for also like the people being bombed and shot.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Why are they not being evacuated? We have 250,000 families that left their homes in Israel to safety because their government gives a shit about them and gave them housing. And we didn't get everyone. There's still families, like I said, that are calling me that don't have the eligibility because they're one street away from the people that were eligible to get housing. So they're like still caught in the crossfire, and their kids are terrified. But
keep in mind, it's a small country with
so
limited
small.
resources. The thing is,
So
even
small.
though,
And we're after Corona. You know what a huge devastational
yeah,
economic this has on us? Like, the government is like, nobody's working right now. I just spoke to my friend. Like, no one's in school. No one's working. Everything's shut down. Our lives have stopped again. Just like Corona was. But like, this time people are dying not from a plague. This time people are dying from other people killing them. And it's insane to me that people can take that reality and say, oh, let's just justify it based on a bunch of facts that someone told me once. So one person told me, or the popular opinion of the public before even looking into it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know what? I'm not surprised at all, because blacks for years were being oppressed before anyone did anything about it. Years. Humankind,
yeah, but
human humanity
what,
is not at all done being assholes.
you brought up that with the black community, something that the black community a lot of the time forgets of how much the Jewish community has helped out. for a very long time during the Civil War, especially before then, the Jewish community were also immigrants, and a lot of Black Americans that needed care, they were taken care of by Jewish hospitals here in the United States because
Mhm.
they were turned away from other places because of the whole colored and white bullshit and crap. So keeping in mind the fact that throughout
And Jews know
history,
how it feels. Jews know how it feels. We've been persecuted like more than like 10 times throughout history. And
you mean
persecution
10,000 times.
like yeah,
10,000 times.
I haven't counted. I haven't counted,
So
but like
much,
that's
so
cuz
much.
we help because we know. We help because we're also put under like the radar of like the less superior whatever the fuck. I don't know what everyone's got in mind. Like neo-Nazi bullshit. Like and look, I think that the actual radical Islam is actually much larger than just racism. I think for them, it's about ruling the world. I really think that their main goal is to rule the world, and you got to start with the Jews because they're the main religion. They're the strongest religion.
Yeah,
They
but you
started
know what?
first, and then
Even
go to the
on
Christians because once you kill off all the
right.
Jews, you go to the Christians, right? You get everyone out that's the Christians because you're like, okay, well, Jesus was a Jew, so fuck you. Kill all the Christians and then just rule the world, be the main religion. If you
Well,
look at radical Islam, that's what they want. They don't hide it. They
agreed.
say it loud and clear. Like there's literally
Agreed.
like footage of like a man standing like the rabbi of like the Islam people. I don't know what it's called. Like
I don't remember.
they're standing like a crowd of people, like all praying a mosque or whatever. Huge, huge. I think it was in Mecca or something. I don't know. And he's like, we are going to make every single person in the world Islam. We're going to make every single person Muslim. How fucking scary is that? Like, I'm
It's
sorry, but is that a free world? Like, who are you guys defending? I'm confused. I'm not understanding. Like, where is the logic? Where is it?
there's also
Are people
I
not
don't know.
free to practice their own religions? Like, did you guys not learn from the Christianity toxic masculinity when the Christians were persecuting people because they wanted everyone to be Christian? Remember those days?
Control, this is what I wanted to touch on. Control is one of the things about human beings, is that we can be very easily manipulated, because when we get in those states of mind where we're lazy and we kind of push away the facts and just the sense and the morale, we can stay in this place, which, if you really dig deep into what you're believing and thinking, you realize, I've said this to people before. When you call yourself a Republican or Democrat, there's no such thing. There's no such thing of being a Republican or a Democrat. There's no such thing of being conservative or liberal. Each
I
person is
know.
going to be a mixture of both. There's no such thing, like you're going to be stronger on one side than the other. But this whole idea of one side over the other, that works on a
Mhm.
chessboard. Okay?
Right.
But in real life, that's not how people work.
Yeah, no. No, I mean it is if you're a corrupt man using people
Or
as
woman.
pawns. Eh, right, using people as pawns.
Hmm.
It does work that way, actually. Scarily works that way and can work that way. And that's what they rely on because we can be pawns and we are pawns and everyone's using everyone. And it's really fucked. And light, this is what I want to like even I want to just share for a minute like we're the Jewish calendar right now is a theme where it's Kislev, which means like yesterday the new moon started, which is like a new theme. It's a new season, and the theme is darkness, deep darkness, and then blowing light into that darkness. Right, Hanukkah
Yeah, yeah.
is
Isn't
darkness
Kiss?
and the light.
Which month? There's one month that doesn't have any holidays. I don't think it's Kislev.
It's definitely not
There's
Kislev.
no. There's.
Best
It's
holiday
interesting.
ever.
It really is. Hanukkah is, especially like if you're in Israel, one of the best things you can get. They're called sufganiyot. They're donuts, but they're Israeli donuts, and they're huge and they're fluffy,
Oh,
and you
there's
can
jelly.
find. Oh my god, yes! You remember we went once. Oh my god, I think yeah, we went once to get donuts on Hanukkah. Do you
Probably.
remember the?
I
Yeah.
don't remember, but like makes sense. Yeah.
But sure,
Yeah.
it happened. Yeah, let's just yeah, it happened. But that's something that you can really experience. I remember like around Hanukkah time, like around Kislev, I used to go to the old city, and it's the most beautiful thing because when you walk around, you have the Christians that are celebrating for Christmas.
Right.
And while I was walking around the old city, you see all of these people celebrating their faiths and religions. And, people that were non religious and tourists. And it's one of the coolest places to be around this time of year because you get to really see a celebration of culture. Because we, this whole episode, this whole thing has been around people. What have we people have been doing for the past thousands of years? You know, government aside, government is government, okay? But when we look at people and what they've made and what they've done and what they've collaborated with, it goes to show the strength as people, not as government. Because government doesn't represent people. People represent themselves and, the places they are and who they are as a person.
Yeah. Not that I can say something like because this keeps coming up like the word government, so I feel like it's an elephant in the room that I want to address. Like I don't pretend to be a political person. Unfortunately, I'm forced to understand politics because otherwise people will accuse me of being a terrorist. So these days
I
I have to like understand politics, and I understood that when I was 20 years old. And I went to America and I heard someone bad mouthing the IDF, and I didn't have anything to say to them because I had no idea.
They're not perfect by any regards, but
I had never in my life experienced that. Yeah, we're not perfect by any regards. So
no.
I wanted to say about that Israel is a very new country. There are so many social issues within Israel that I would love to change, and I'm so excited for it to change eventually.
You mean
And
like the
I would
radical
like,
religious community and their control on the Knesset?
for example,
Yeah.
or just even like education, getting like
Mhm.
better quality education, the fact that Arab, communities have a lot of crime in them, and we need to like be better at like controlling that, so that they don't hurt each other. Israeli Arabs, I mean, like the ones that were,
Their gangs.
that we have
Yeah.
responsibility for, because we're not used to like violence within communities, but we should be helping them because they are citizens. And so there's a lot of work to be done over there, and I think that that will actually help the political situation as a whole, because from what I understand, when you spread light, light continues to spread. So we do need to improve our social, like within our social, like our social justice, like situation in the country. But I think that the government people are like, they're kind of, how do you call, like, they're, it's like overrated that they think that there's so much like connection. Like the government for the past year, I don't know if anyone know, like it didn't exist. We didn't have a government working
Mhm.
in the past year, which the minute that happened, I was like, perfect timing for someone to come and attack us, which they did. So this wasn't surprising to me at all, honestly, in all honesty. And there was a civil war starting in Israel from the left and the right, people that were like, we need a new government. I have a theory, which many people do as well, that our government, there should be two. There should be one that focuses on the security of Israel and one that focuses on the social justice issues in Israel.
Yeah,
Because
Yitzhak Rabin talked about this in his
really
interview, I
needs to
believe.
happen.
Yeah. And it's
It's not I'm
so
saying like
important.
it's the government isn't like, I honestly believe that like we had to quickly like form a government just now because, and like everyone, a lot of people voted for Bibi Netanyahu. I'll explain to you why I think that is. I think Bibi Netanyahu was voted for most, not only because of, like you said, like the radical, like whatever. I think it's mostly because actually people feel safe with him. And as sucky as he was with the social justice parts of things, like
He
within
helped
Israel,
during the he helped it during the Intifada.
he knows
During
how
the
to
yeah.
speak the same language as a terrorist. Unfortunately, because he's been in, imagine being a government for a crazy land like Israel, dealing with like people trying to kill you constantly for like 7 years now. How long has he been in presidency?
No, but he as a prime minister, I mean, he's experienced other attacks on Israel before. I mean, compared to other prime ministers that have taken care of Israel throughout its history, he has had the most experience with Hamas
Right.
than any other prime minister.
And
So,
any time that has happened, we've crushed
yeah,
them. So we
with Bibi
want,
Netanyahu. Yeah.
yeah. So we're happy with him in terms of that. And that's because we feel safer, right? But he is like, in terms of other things, like no, he's definitely not even close to perfect. Plus he needs to get out already. Like there does need to be a new president, but we need to find someone that somehow is able to also bring in, like, social justice, and also bring in safety, and like not be too liberal and not be too lenient, like, oh, there was a massacre, all right, we'll just send some bombs and then let them continue to send bombs at us and pretend there's a ceasefire, and we'll
Yeah,
just let
no.
Hamas keep
No.
going.
No.
Okay, we'll just
No.
let Hamas keep killing.
No, no, no,
Okay,
no. I
because we want everyone to stay safe, but especially the Gaza people, right? No, we don't want that, right? Because that's soft and that's basically asking to be dead.
you're basically asking for the 2 million people that are living in Gaza to just be annihilated because that's pretty much what's going to happen. Hamas is just going to continue murdering those people along the route. And the look, you bring up an excellent point. I remember my experience with Israel when I was there. Look, this is like a small little thing, but I'm not a religious person. And what has, kind of the problem that happened in Israel is there are certain parts, for example, like Tel Aviv, Haifa, where you can be more open and expressive. But there are other parts of Israel where you cannot. You know, there's everything's kind of restricted by religious Jewish law. So you're kind of forcing every single person to follow Jewish law, which, okay, I understand. It is a place of the state of Israel, right? However, it is a place that respects other cultures and beliefs. That's kind of the whole purpose, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
there was that aspect and my experience of it, which I was like, you guys need to respect other people's beliefs and faiths besides just Judaism. Like, I understand it, but like, this country is small and you want to help it grow. You need to be accepting towards other faiths and beliefs, which personally, Morocco was one of the countries in the Middle East, in North Africa, that figured this out way before Israel did. They created a staple of three governments that
Hmm.
existed there, the Jewish, the Muslim, and Christian. So each person was able to get the proper care and whatever that was needed. So there is that aspect as well, which I feel is so important. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is everything cool in Morocco right now?
There's pretty much no Jews left. My family, the last family member left. I mean, Morocco, unfortunately, like many of the Middle Eastern countries, I was listening to a UN. They had a speech with the board from other countries, and he was saying, like, like for example, my family and so many others, we came from all of these Middle Eastern countries, and there's no Jews left. Everyone has left. A lot of them, like for example, my family, they all went to Israel. And the
Yeah.
reality is that Israel offered more possibility and opportunity for these types of people.
Right.
And what does
Well,
that tell you?
also,
What does that tell
it's
you
not.
as a person?
Well, also there in 1941 there was like a huge I think it was 1941, between like in the 1940s, so the beginning till like 1948, and also after. there were many Muslim countries that kicked Jews out, said like if you're not Muslim then you have to leave. And the only position, like for example, Afghanistan, the only job that Jews could get at a certain point was to be a shoe polisher.
Hmm.
That's just like one example. And there's like 10 more of those examples of Muslim countries completely like, basically annihilating the Jews. So people are like, but then are like, why are we? Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that just reminds me of that. It's never ending. The amount of annihilation that we've experienced is never ending.
You
It's
know what
it's
bother
just
you know what bothers me so much is the fact that
it's
Israel is like a staple place throughout history. That's a place where everybody can come together and create something. That's kind of what King Solomon kind of designed with the first temple, and it kind of continued that way even through the Roman Empire. And it's this idea of like, why can't there be peace? Why can't there be like a culture of mixture of different types of people just living under the same roof, figuring out how to take care
there
of.
are there is. When Israel's not in war, everyone's so peaceful. It's
I
so
know,
beautiful.
honey, but on the other
And
side,
even now, people are so like they come together like Christians, Jews, Arabs, we're all like Muslims, like we're all like here together and under this small little land, up each other's butts a little bit, but like because it's like getting really crowded, but like it's just we're all here and we're peacefully living here. I honestly think people that haven't been here don't understand how beautiful and peaceful it really truly is. With you're in Tel Aviv sitting at the beach and you hear like the mosque song, like the song, the prayer.
Allah, yeah, yeah, like
Yeah,
5 o'clock in the morning.
that's just the regular day on the beach in Tel Aviv, like in Jaffa, like in yeah, there, and we're just peacefully living with these people that are
Oh my god,
singing that.
you just remind me of something. It's so funny when you because when I lived in Jerusalem, I used to go to Machane Yehuda, which is a little like bizarre shuk area in and if you go there early in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning on Fridays, the stores, they all open up and they just start screaming tu team banano 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 egozim egozim egozim, and you're like whoa, there's like all these things, or they're throwing things in bags, and it's like this whole like circus, this whole show and experience. And I keep on coming back to this, and it's kind of my whole motto and my whole thought is that the more that we stem away from human beings as individuals, and
Yeah,
the more we focus on a collective, the more we see problem than actual fix.
exactly. The more we focus on the problem, the bigger the problem's going to be, and the more we focus on solutions, the more the bigger the solution's going to be. And that's what I like to focus on, and that's what I think Israel likes to focus on, regardless of if it's popular or not. We're like, this is real life. Sorry, guys, move over.
Hey, I'm
Bye,
here
babe.
now. Hey, babe.
Yeah, hey, babe. Remember, like reality check. Yeah, and and that's what we also have to remember. And I think that, like, what I find so beautiful is like we're still focusing on all the good. Like throughout all of this, we're still focusing on the good. One of the reasons why the footage of the massacre wasn't released was because we don't want to focus on the deaths. We don't want to see people dying all over our Instagrams and all over our news, that people we know. Like we wouldn't want to focus on that. We don't want to sit in our hate. No, we want to sit in our life that continues after that. We want to sit in our in why we have a reason to live, why we're so lucky, why we're so lucky to be alive. And like, yesterday it was like kind of lame, like the rave that I went to, because everyone was kind of like sad, and like no one wanted to really like dance. I was like it was like this rave in the middle of the forest, and like everyone was like, there was like really good music, and like everyone was just kind of chilling. Everyone's just kind of sitting there, like being like, and like once in a while, someone would get up and dance. I was one of them. And by the end of the night, of course, we drank enough and smoked enough to like finally like let loose. And then we had to turn off the music, which sucked. But what I'm saying is that like it's just really like I made a speech like right before like yesterday. Like I took the microphone. I'm like, I need to make a speech. And I said like what happens on the day of the massacre. There were tons of beautiful people dancing. They came to like celebrate and to dance and to celebrate like life and the beauty of it and this beautiful holiday that we had. And what they would want for us is to continue to be happy. That's what they would want. The people that are no longer with us, that's what they want. They wouldn't want us to just sit here and be sad all the time. They wouldn't want us to be focusing on hate. They wouldn't want us to be focusing on darkness. And they wouldn't want us to be sad. And we're going to be sad. We are. We are going to be sad. It's inevitable. We have to be. Like, it's going to have, like, it's just, it is. It's natural. But we can't focus on that. We can't focus on trying to be sad. We have to focus on the solution. And anyone that wants to focus on the solution's there. Anyone that doesn't want to focus on it, they're not going to find a solution. It's going to be like a pretty brutal answer, the solution. Because I'm not hearing any solutions from the other side. I'm not hearing any solutions from pro-Palestine. I'm hearing ceasefire. That's not a solution. That's a
It's a
Band-Aid.
death sentence.
It's a death sentence and it's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Yeah, it's not going to hold.
No, it's not going to hold. And people can pretend to understand politics, but they don't. They don't know any details. None.
The question to you is, if anybody wants to help out, what's the best way that they can?
So, first of all, come farm here because farmers were either brutally killed or all their Thailand workers left the country because they were terrified because there were big groups of Thailand farmers that were massacred. So all the Thailand, like the government told them to leave. So farmers right now have nowhere to go. I mean, they have like no one to work the land. And then the other farmers that are still alive and well are in the army, some of them protecting. So there's really a huge need for agriculture workers right now, which I'm going to be doing next week. Finally have the strength to. And then the other thing I would say would be to donate to campaigns that are helping like families that aren't eligible for, like I'm creating a campaign and I would love for people to donate to these families that are under fire, that aren't able to sleep because they're hearing bombs outside of their house on top of them, and some of them are falling on them. And so I want to create I want to raise enough money so that I can put them in safer areas of Israel, like where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those are like the two big things. And like just
Do you have any
also,
like links or websites that people
yeah,
can?
yeah. And I'm creating the campaign next week. I'm going and filming everything. But for now, I can create like a short, small link. And also, I can also send you just links for like the farming. I can send you links for, there's also donating to the IDF, which might, so I don't know if people would want to go that far, but there's also, we're constantly like needing more equipment to keep people safe. There's a huge shortage in vests, like protective vests, and that's also been a huge issue. So also donating to the army would be great, and just being nice, like that's the biggest way you could help. Be nice, be nice to each other, spread light, because this is, I believe, a war of evil and good. It's a humanity thing. And I think if you're spreading light and you're not being like mean, regardless of your political views, then Hamas won't win and evil won't win. And I honestly believe that like, we need strength. We need to know that more people are supporting us. So if you feel like light, if you're like, I want to spread love, I want to spread light, share that, because that's what we need right now, because we're
Yeah.
in dark times and we're in this dark hole, and we're in need of light. So even if it's not about politics, spread light in whatever way you can. Love your family, do good deeds, love each other, spread kitten cute videos, like, be happy and spread that light and
We we
ignite it.
are we are in the new century, and we are in the first 23 years of that century, and the realization that this is a new beginning. This is a new start for humanity, and this is a new start for all of us. So, what we decide to do in the next few years, what we decide to do right now, it all matters, and it's the most important. And again, if helping support is not choosing to be a part of one agenda over the other, it's helping out what is needed, plain and
Exactly.
simple.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
When
listen,
there's someone
Naomi,
in need, there's someone in need. Go and
there's
help.
it's all you can do. It
And it's
really
not
is.
screaming. It's not screaming in the streets. That's not helpful to
No,
anybody.
no,
No.
no.
Go have a coffee with your Israeli friend. Go talk to your Jewish friend and ask them how they're doing. Have, like, send them flowers. Be good to each other. Learn different facts. Keep your mind open.
Yeah. And also, instead of, again, spreading the agenda, work together to create a solution, not make more problems.
Exactly. Beautiful.
I have to say, Naomi, this is an episode, something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I feel, again, there's so many podcasts out there that are all about, we're having these wonderful conversations. But here's the thing, wonderful conversations is a fucking utopia. When you sit down and talk about things that are hard or tough or difficult, it opens up something that's really beautiful. It's a different perspective, it's a different thought, it's a different mindset, and more importantly, it allows for the first time, unfortunately, in a long time, for real journalism, like real research, real story, real fact.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I honestly, like, I'm tired. I'm so fucking tired of the media and the bullshit here. I'm so tired. I'm so fucking tired. It's enough. This country, I love this country so much. My dad came here. He immigrated here. It's given me a lot of blessing. But oh my fucking god, we don't know when to shut the fuck up. We seriously don't. Like, we're like, I hate to say this, we're like that fat man sitting on the fucking toilet and just making everybody want to puke. That's what the U.S. is. It's like, dude. That's my advice. Less noise. Yeah. Well, listen, everybody. This has been real fun. This has been real hard, and I'm gonna need a minute after this. But if you want to check out Naomi, you are Radical Acceptance
I changed
27.
it.
You
I
changed
changed
it.
it because people just saw the radical instead of the acceptance. So I changed it to what did I change it to? Hold on. Oh, Peace for Humanity.
Oh,
One.
okay. So
Because
at peace
everyone
of
needs peace for humanity these days.
yay. And you're on Instagram with that handle.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where you can definitely check out the work. And I'm going to leave the links with the episode description. And if you want to check out more of the podcast, you can find us
Also, I
on.
changed my name, by the way. Sorry, I'm being so annoying.
No, you're good.
I changed my name to Naomi Or.
Naomi Or. Okay, I will change that on the episode cover. Thank you for telling me that. I mean, that would be really embarrassing when I make a post and then you comment in there like, Dave, there's been a quick name change, just FYI. And I'm like, oh shit. Oh my god! But
No, all my other names are still there. I just added it, my name, because
okay, so you want me to add that to the podcast
I'd
cover?
love to.
Okay,
Yes,
sure.
that'd be
Yes.
cool.
Oh yeah, so like I said, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and we're at Lost in the Groove Pod. And if you want to check out more behind the scenes, it'll be on Instagram. All right, we love y'all. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye, everybody, and stay peaceful.